Let me ask you something. Every time you type a Linux command like ls or chmod, have you ever stopped and thought what actually happens after you press enter? Because here is the truth. You are not just running a command. You are triggering a whole chain inside Linux. Like terminal, shell, kernel, everything working together in the background. And if you don't understand that, you are basically driving a car without knowing how the engine works. So let's fix that today. Welcome back to Tech Mastery with Raj. In the last few videos, we have already covered file permissions commands, file management commands, monitoring and troubleshooting commands. So you have already been using Linux commands, but I realized something very important. We have never actually discussed, or we have never actually tried to understand what Linux is. What is the system we are working on every day? So in this video, I want to build that foundation properly. So we will understand what is Linux, what is kernel, what is shell, what is terminal, and how everything connects when you run a command. So stick with me. This will completely change how you see Linux. So first thing first, Linux. What is Linux? Now in simple words, Linux is a operating system. Just like Windows or Mac OS. So operating system sits between your hardware and your applications. So whenever you open a file or run a command or start a program, Linux is the system managing all of that in the background. Now in the DevOps world, Linux is everywhere. Honestly, almost everything runs on Linux. You take cloud servers, they all are running on Linux. Or Docker containers, they are also using Linux. Kubernetes nodes, they are using Linux. CI/CD pipelines, they are also using Linux. So if you are learning DevOps, Linux is not optional, it is the base. So now let's go a level deeper to understand what is kernel. So kernel is basically heart of the Linux. Because kernel is the part that actually talks to your hardware. So your CPU, your memory, your disk, everything. Now imagine you type this command mkdir of project. Okay. What happens? You might think Linux just creates a folder. Yes, it creates a folder. But actually, this your command goes to shell. Then shell will send request to kernel. That kernel talks to the disk hardware and only then the folder is created. So kernel is doing the real heavy lifting. Without kernel, Linux is just a useless interface. Okay, so think of it like this. Kernel is the engine of the car. Without engine, the car is just sitting there. Okay, so now next is terminal. Let's understand terminal. We will then understand shell as well, but before that we need to understand the terminal. So terminal is probably simplest concept. It's just a window. That's it. A place where you type the command. But there is one important thing about the terminal. Terminal does not run commands. It just takes your input and passes it forward. So terminal is basically your entry point into the Linux, like a door. Okay, so terminal does not run commands. It just takes input and passes it forward. Okay, now this is where the things start to connect. Okay, now let's understand the shell, bash. Okay, shell is the interpreter. It sits between you and the kernel. You and the kernel. You means user and the kernel. So when you type a command ls, suppose, let's see, you run a command ls and it lists down all the details, right? All whatever is inside that directory, it will list down. Okay, so how it works? So when you type a command, terminal, this is the terminal. The screen which you are seeing now is the terminal. The terminal sends input. Shell reads it. Shell will understands it. Shell finds the program, then sends it to the kernel, and the output comes back. So shell is like a translator. Okay, shell is like a translator. You speak human language, shell converts it into system language. Okay, shell is basically translator. But there are different kind of shells. Most common is the bash shell. Okay, let's see how to check the shell. Okay, so you type echo, then this is the command to check the shell. Okay, echo $shell, and it will show you the shell. So currently you are using bash shell. Okay, so there are different shells. Bash is the most common. The one which we are using is the bash. So this is most common. There is one sh, which is a very basic version. Then there is one zsh. It's modern and smarter. But in most Linux systems, bash is what you will use on a daily basis. Okay, now let's connect the dots and understand entire flow. So your user will type a command in terminal, then shell, terminal will send it to shell, shell will send it to kernel, and then kernel will connect to hardware and show you the output. And this flow happens for every command, every single one. There is no exception. Okay, Now let's relate this to what we already learned in previous videos. We used commands like ls, cd, top, chmod. But let's take a simple example, ls. What really happens? Shell receives command, it checks where ls is located. Shell does that, okay? Then sends request to kernel. Then what kernel will do? Kernel will reads directory from disk, because this we are running ls command, right? So it will read the directory from the disk, and output is shown back in terminal. Okay, so this is the flow. That one is, now take a top command. So it's interesting. So kernel is constantly checking CPU usage, checking memory, tracking process, and top is just displaying what kernel already knows. Okay, but the process is same. You enter the top command, shell receives the command, it checks where this command is located, then it will send that request to the kernel. Kernel already know the data, because kernel constantly check the CPU usage, memory, and processes, right? So kernel already has that data. Kernel will reads the kernel will collect the data, and output will be shown on the terminal. Okay, so top is just displaying what kernel already knows. So now you see Linux commands are not magic. Okay, they are just requests going through layers. Now let's understand the distributions, Linux distributions, or you can call it Linux flavors as well. So mostly used is the Ubuntu or Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So this flavor or distribution is mostly used in the companies. Okay, then Linux itself comes in a different versions. We call them distributions, like, okay, so Ubuntu, Debian is one of the widely used distribution. Then RHEL, CentOS. Then there is one Amazon as well, Amazon Linux. Okay, so these are the Linux flavors or distributions. But here is the key point: all of them use the same Linux kernel. Okay, all these distributions use the same Linux kernel, only tools and the features change around it. So whether you are on AWS or local virtual machine or any enterprise server, Linux behaves the same way at the core. Okay, now let's connect this to the real DevOps tools like Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes. All run heavily on the Linux. In real jobs, you SSH into the Linux servers. SSH is the secure shell. Okay, so we will cover this part in our next video, how to connect to the Linux servers. Then you run deployment scripts, okay, on the Linux. You monitor systems, you debug logs, and all of that happens through terminal plus shell plus kernel interaction. Okay, now let's see some important commands. We have seen some commands in our previous videos, but there are some commands which we have missed or we have not covered, which I think very important for the DevOps. So let's understand one very important command, and that is history command. Okay, so history command, this shows whatever you have already typed. Okay, so if you have run on one terminal, if you have run suppose 100 commands, you run the history and it will show all the commands. Now since I have logged in, I have run these many commands. First command I ran was who am I. This command we have seen in our previous video. So what this command does, it will show you your user profile. Then I ran this command touch and file1.txt. So this will create a file. Then ls command will list down all the contents of the directory. pwd command shows the present working directory or print working directory. Then again we run the ls command, but this time we run with the -al. So it will list down detailed information of the content in the directory. Then we run the mkdir command. Okay, so this will create the dir1 directory. Again ls al. Now then we run the cat file1. So it will show the content of the file1. Then I ran the clear. So it will clear the terminal. Then I run the echo command just to print test hello world. Then again echo, and then added this data into the file, and then cat test to clear. Okay, so these commands we have already seen. History. Now there is one command we have not seen in our previous video, is the nano. So what is the use of nano command? Okay, before explaining nano, I will explain history command. Okay, so history command is basically will list down all the commands which we have run on the terminal. It shows everything you have typed earlier. Okay, and this is very useful because sometimes you forget the command, or you want to reuse something, or you are debugging some issues. In that case, you want to run the command. Now suppose if you want to run a particular command, so using history command we have seen what are the commands, but if you see there is number as well to the command. So if you want to run suppose this clear command, so what you simply do, you can simply, and what is the number of the clear command? 27, and enter. It will clear. So it will run that command. Okay, so you need to, so that runs the command number. Okay, let me show you one more time. So history is the command I have run, and now I can see this 32 number command. So what I need to do, I want to run this 32 number command, echo $shell. So what I will do, I will simply run this command and it will show the output of that command, echo shell. Okay, so this command is very important, history command. Okay, now the next command is, which we have not seen in our previous video, which is very important, is the nano command. So nano command is a simple editor inside the terminal. So you can use this command for configuration files or scripts, or if you want to edit something. It's very important and it's very simple. Okay, so suppose let me clear it. Okay, so pwd, so I am in this ls. I can see these many files are there. So test1 file is there, test2 file is there. So let me see if there is any data in the test2 file, cat test2. So there is some data. Now what I want to do, I want to add some data in this file. There are 3 lines in this file, but I want to add one more line. So what I will do, I will run nano command, and then I will give the file name. So it will open this file in a edit mode. So what I will do, I am adding 4th line in test2. So I have added this line. So if you see here on the right side, so modified file. Okay, so I have added this one line in the file. Now I want to save this and exit. So what I will do, Control X. So it will ask you, do you want to save the changes? And you reply with S. Okay, now let's see if your changes are added to the file. So you can see with this cat command, your 4th line is added. Okay, so this nano command is also very important and very simple if you want to update the file. Okay, so today we did not just learn definitions, we actually understood what happens when you run a Linux command. So we have understood Linux system, kernel, shell, terminal, command flow. So when you type a command, how this command flow from right from the terminal to the kernel and then shows the output, right? So this is the flow. Shell receives the command, it checks where the command is located, then sends request to the kernel, then kernel will read or kernel will take the action and it will show the output. Okay, so this is what we have learned today. Okay, apart from that, we have also understood the distributions of the Linux and some real DevOps use cases we have seen. Now, when you type a command, you won't just use it blindly. You will understand what is happening behind it. Okay. So if this made sense, support the channel. You like this video, subscribe the channel and share it with your friends. Okay. And I will see you in the next video. Okay. Thank you so much.